Hi, I'm Jody Carlton, and I'm a neurodiverse relationship expert. In this video from my archives, I'm going to talk about masking. Now, masking comes up a lot in conversations about autism. Oftentimes, it's referred to negatively, as if masking is a bad thing. But in this video, I'm going to talk about why masking is not actually always a bad thing. And we all do it.
What I want to talk about today is masking. So many partners feel like they've been duped, as if their autistic partner has been masking who they truly are. And then they get into the relationship and the mask comes off and they find out who this person really is. And this is just, honestly, guys, this is just a crock of bull. And I'm going to explain to you here why this is the case. Masking it's our filter. I want to actually tell you a little bit about a video that my daughter did. So my daughter is 17 and she is on the spectrum. But years ago, she was in middle school. I think she was probably about 12 or 13. She's a huge advocate for autism. And she's done papers and stuff at school and presentations. She's won awards, actually. And so she did this video when she realized she started using this strategy for how to use a better filter, because those of you on the spectrum know that sometimes whatever comes to your mind, it comes out of your mouth. Or whatever comes to your mind, you show it on your face, and you don't necessarily filter whatever you're thinking or whatever you're experiencing about a situation. It just shows. It just comes right out. And so my daughter developed this strategy for herself when she was in middle school. She had this video blog back then, and that she was trying to reach and help other kids on the spectrum that she called Inside Face and Outside Face. And so she did this video about how to remember that she needed to have an inside face that was for herself, and then there was an outside face that was for everybody else. And so she did this video. So like when she was at school taking a test and she looked down and saw a really tough question, that her inside face was like, but that she didn't need to express that outwardly necessarily. And she realized that she needed to use this same strategy when she was interacting with other people and not just constantly show exactly what was going on inside of her all the time. This is what masking is. It's our filter whenever we're in a situation, when we're in a conversation with someone. We filter what we're hearing, what we're experiencing, and then we filter it through how we're interpreting it and how to respond. And sometimes when I work with folks on the spectrum, I talk to them about how they have this filter's not always working real efficiently, or sometimes they forget to use their filter. And so those of us who are not on the spectrum, we do this naturally all the time. Folks on the spectrum learn how to do this, especially when you're pretty high functioning. Learn how to do this in certain settings, like at work, especially. Learn how to do it in certain settings. We all learn how to do this. And that's the thing. Those of us who are neurotypical, we do this too. We learn to use our filter, which is our mask. And the other thing is, part of that filter also has to do with who we are around, where we are, the situation we're in. I also use the word hat. We wear different hats, but we wear different masks depending on where we are and who we're around. So for me, I wear a different mask when I'm talking to you guys. This is my professional mask. So I run things through a different filter when I'm talking to you. And I share with you in a different way. I'm still authentic and genuine with you, but I share with you in a different way than I do when I'm talking to my best friend, my girlfriend, or then when I'm talking to my children. Now, that's a totally different mask, but that's still me. Here's what I really want the neurotypical folks to really hear, because a lot of you feel like you've been duped when you get into this relationship, and after a while, the mask, what you feel like is the mask starts to come off. And you start to see these behaviors and these traits that you didn't know were there. This is what I want you to hear. All of us, when we are in our most comfortable setting, our safe zone, which is our home and our relationships that are with the people that are closest to us, that's when we don't filter things as much because we need to relax. We start to take them off, and the most authentic self that we are is when we're at home. And those of you who are neurotypical, you do this too. And if any of you deny this, I'm just going to call a BS on you. And I want to ask you if any of you, those of you who are neurotypical, if you can stop and think about, are there behaviors and things that you've done at home behind closed doors that you would kind of not really want to admit to the outside world? Yeah, things you've said to your children, things that you've said to your partners or your spouse that you're kind of like, I'm kind of glad nobody could see that. This is you taking off the mask. This is you not filtering what you say because you're in your safe zone and you're in your environment. And your partners who are on the spectrum, they do this too. But their filter still, they run things even less. Even when you're in your safe zone, those of you who are neurotypical, you still filter to a degree where you are still sensitive, more so to saying things that are hurtful. You're still more mindful of what you may say that may be hurting your partner or your children. Whereas folks on the spectrum, their brains are working so hard all day long because of their sensory challenges, their executive functioning challenges, that when they come home, they need to just completely, they're not wearing any mask and they're not filtering nearly as much. And that's why you're getting the completely unfiltered version of what's going through their mind. And this is why they can say some really insensitive and hurtful things sometimes, because you're getting the unfiltered version. But it's not because they're really this person that's this mean, horrible person, because you met them and they were this, they were this great person. And then years, weeks or months down the road, now you're duped because they're not the person you thought they were. Now you're just getting comfortable. You're getting into a comfortable relationship, which happens in all relationships. If you have children, this is something that we teach them, we need to teach them these skills, actually. This is an important skill to learn. We need to teach them how to use this filter when they're at home. They need to learn how to use their filter at home too. But home also needs to be a safe place for them where they can get a little bit of grace, be given some grace if they forget to use their filter at home. I know sometimes I do. I am guilty as charged for not using my filter at home, but that doesn't mean that I'm this nasty, mean person. And I've had so many parents tell me that when I was working with parents with kids on the spectrum, we see this with our kids, and this happens with our partners too. And for us too, whether we're working out of the home or in the home, you make it through the day. And by the end of the day, when we're trying to interact with our spouse, and sometimes we have run-ins with our partner early in the day, but by the end of the day, sometimes we're all just flat out exhausted. And that's, fatigue, frustration, fear, those 3 F's, the filter's gone when those 3 crop up. Hi, Liz. I think what NT folks find frustrating in relationships is that masking leads us to believe we're dealing with a person who ultimately may not exist. I don't mean this critically. Jody may be able to explain further. I totally agree with what you're saying, and I don't hear criticism there, because you're right. What happens in the beginning of a relationship is that there's a script a lot of times in the beginning of relationships where partners on the spectrum, and those of you who are autistic, I want you to listen up to this, because if you have a script, which you probably do, in some way, you are trying to figure out how to be in a relationship and who you are supposed to be in a relationship. But neurotypical folks, we do this too. And we get our script from a lot of places. Stop and think about, where do you get your scripts? I've worked with a lot of neurotypical women who get their scripts from movies and books, romance novels. Okay, so we get our scripts too. But the thing is, those of you who are on the spectrum, you come in and you're playing this role and you present this person to those of us who are neurotypical. We think that's who you are. We think that's who we're dating. We think that's who we're marrying. Then sometimes you have a different script for what marriage is supposed to be, or for what a long-term relationship is supposed to be. And so, yes, this is very true, Liz, and I'm glad you said that. So this is another aspect of masking, because it's that script, that mask, that we're wearing in those different roles that we're playing. And so we've got the mask and we've got the filter. It's all part of the same thing, because when we're wearing a mask, we filter everything we're experiencing through the mask that we're wearing. This comes back to those stages of communication, you guys. What we bring to our relationship. When you come into a relationship, that's stage one. Who are we bringing to it? How are we defining who we are? That's part of the mask we're wearing. How are we defining this relationship? What is a relationship supposed to be? Who do we think we're getting into the relationship with? Then once we start interacting, then the filter kicks in, engages, or it doesn't at times. Then that starts to contribute to some of the breakdown in the dynamics, and things just get really chaotic and confusing between you. That's when you start feel like you're speaking different languages, and the filter's not there. The mask starts changing, and it gets just so confusing for everybody. Jessica, don't I want to please them sometimes? When we go into relationships, our goal does not need to be to please someone else. Be who you are. That's who people want to know. When you date and meet someone new, they want to know who you really are. And if who you really are is not who they want to be with, then that's not a good fit anyway. If your goal in going into a relationship is to please someone else, that can't last, because then you lose who you are. You lose yourself. Be true to who you are. And then if another person values that, then you have something to build upon.